What is going on, you guys? This full moon, she really turned it out. And all of this energy that's coming through, of course, with it being a lunar eclipse, much more magnified, especially if you have dominant Sagittarius energy. And for everyone just watching this, whenever you're watching it, just be sure to tune in to your body, see what's coming through, see where you might be purging and releasing, where you might be heavy or feeling stressed, or some you might just be feeling amazing and living your best life, while some of you might just be in bed and have been in bed all day, not wanting to do anything. And of course, whenever we even think of the moon, we're thinking of our body and nourishment. So make sure that you are nourishing yourself, not just today, but during this entire eclipse season. I think everyone across the board is feeling called to slow down. Truly. Personally, I just had a nap before this. If I'm being honest, I had no intention of being active working today. I was just gonna watch with Trixie Mattel and Katya. If you know, you know. But then I was just getting so many downloads, and then Spirit was like, you need to kind of share. So here we are right now. And with this eclipse season particularly, I want you to see what timelines are collapsing for you. That was a huge thing that's been coming through for me is, of course, where were you the end of last year, mid-December 2020, when we had the new moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius? That cycle and this timeline is kind of coming to an end, or at least a pit stop along the way as we continue on these eclipses for the rest of the year. And what we're gonna get a sneak peek of a different axis with that Taurus Scorpio November 19th, that eclipse. But for now, we're dealing with this Gemini and Sagittarius energy. And also, just from an astrological point of view, look to your own natal chart, whether you use Placidus or whole sign, equal sign houses, it doesn't matter. Look to where Gemini and Sagittarius fall in your own natal chart, because that way, even if you don't have any planets or angles in those houses, the themes of those houses are going to be elevated and expanded upon because we have all of these transits and all of these energies there. So you particularly will get to know what is coming through for you. Now, going back to the timeline analogy and what's been shifting for me, and of course, with retrogrades allowing us all to slow down. That's where we get to receive the divine feminine. Everyone, not everyone, but most, want more money, want more love, want more opportunity, but then all they do is go, do, work, which is all the masculine. And yes, the divine masculine is great, but the divine feminine is where it's at. And so, of course, with the moon being one of the most powerful feminine entities that we have, and with retrogrades really calling us to slow down, to reflect, please take the rest of this week, even if you can, take some time off in June. So many people are like, I'm going to be taking a holiday. I need to get away, even just for a weekend, a day, making sacred space every single day to see what's coming up for you and to see what cycles and what patterns you're breaking. What visions are you receiving? I know some of you watching may be new to this work or may even be skeptical in terms of channeling or downloaded messages or your intuition, but the more and more you can lean on this, you're not going to need other people or other gurus to direct and guide you, because I think everyone who does know astrology is curious to see how this Jupiter co-president Neptune in Pisces is going to shape out, especially next year, that first 5 months or so in 2022. I think it's April 9th when we have the exact conjunction between Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. Everyone is going to be a spiritual guru. So you just want to take that power back for yourself so that you can start seeing these signs, symbols, synchronicities for yourself, to see where these timelines are collapsing for yourself, to see what downloads you're receiving. And you don't need anyone else's approval or permission. I think it's wild. If some of you out there like to read, not being shady, but physical books, they still exist. I highly recommend reading the book Invisible Influence by Jonah Berger. It literally talks about how we're always being influenced. And I think this book was even written before influencers were actually a thing. So that makes it even more interesting on how we're constantly being persuaded by the clothes that we wear, the cars that we drive, even the order that we were born in, if we have siblings or if we don't have any siblings. It's a very interesting book. Where I'm going with this is, so many times we don't pursue our dreams, we don't pursue our passions, we listen to the advice of so many other people thinking they have our best interests at heart. Oftentimes they don't. They're either projecting their own ego and fear, or they don't want you to do as well as them, or they're just trying to sell you something. Shocker. So you want to take that power back, and you don't need to listen to anyone. Of course, you can go there for advice, but a lot of the time, you already know what to do. I have so many clients that come to me, and I'm grateful to hold the space. They already know there's a big shift coming through. They already know that they're meant to leave a partnership or a friendship, but they're still holding on out of fear, out of lack, or because of what other people might think. Fuck what other people think. Why do you care what other people think of you? That's going to be holding you back so much, because then you're only going to be attracting other energy from people that are feeding into the narrative that you're believing you have to fit into. Does that make sense? If you keep thinking you have to be a certain role or a certain way or a certain archetype, of course you're going to be attracting certain lovers and jobs and relationships that are going to feed that narrative because you think you have to show up for that way in the world, which is untrue. And again, when it comes to our upbringing, our parents are just doing the best they can based off what they learned from their parents. I was having this conversation with my mentor this week just about the baby boomer generation and how they prioritized certain things like healthcare and benefits and stability because they didn't really have that as much. And when we're now working and shifting and seeing what we want to do for our lives, just from a basic kind of career perspective, sometimes that narrative and that belief system that we have to appease our parents or make them proud, we literally decide to go down certain avenues or certain directions just to make them proud or to receive approval or to receive love that may have been conditioned our entire lives. That we'll give you praise and love if you do well on this test. We'll give you love and praise if you're this attractive and win this trophy. Whatever it was for you growing up, you now get to break that cycle. And of course, it's easier said than done, given that some of these narratives and beliefs may still be ongoing or have been a part of your conditioning for decades. And so as you're dealing with these energies from this eclipse season, knowing where you were 6 months ago, knowing where you were a year ago, May 5th is when we officially transitioned into this Gemini-Sag axis. So you can start seeing, literally you might be getting little premonitions or just intuitive pings of what you're meant to do. You might feel like you're meant to leave certain energetic contracts, whether that be friends, lovers, family members, part-time gigs, full-time careers. I'm not saying you have to make this jump right now, but taking the time for yourself to really examine what is and isn't working, or if you keep feeling like you're hitting your head and trying to smash through this wall and it's not working, maybe there's a door that you can just let yourself out instead of keep slamming against the same thing and nothing is working. Or there's going to be something that feels very scary and you're asking and begging and praying for a sign and you get it and then you don't act on it. I think that a lot of people in this industry and in this work want the quantum leaps to happen, want to see the synchronicities, want the lovers, want the twin flames, whatever that is, and they want it now. But when we get the intuitive download and it, for them, it's crystal clear what we need to do or what we need to let go and we don't act on it, then how do you suspect that you're going to make these transitions possible? How do you think that everything can just move in your favor accordingly? And so it gets to be easy, but you have to respond to those intuitive cues. And a lot of times there is a price tag. Literally, there could be investing a massive amount of money, sometimes money you don't have. I talk to a lot of clients about this. I'm like, well, I can't do it for a couple of years because I don't have the money. Well, there are certain places and institutions that lend you money. Sometimes people are in a position where their family members may have money to lend them, but their ego gets in the way. There's always a way to make this work. Truly. But if you keep saying no, or it's hard, or I can't do that, or I have to wait, then it just takes longer. And that's okay if you need that time to just recalibrate. But the idea here is it can happen quickly, and we all want to see those massive level ups happen, but you have to trust in these messages along the way. And that is where continually investing in yourself, your own health, your own well-being, your own intelligence, your own beauty, whatever that is for you, is going to be your best bet, instead of relying on certain family members, lovers, friends, spiritual gurus, whomever, to feed you this advice and to feed you praise. Because I think anyone who's done this work and really wants to expand and build an empire and be a boss and be a queen, that doesn't just happen by continually surrounding yourself with people who don't believe in you, or people that aren't doing the work, or people that you feel like you have to dilute yourself because you can't share your blessings or your wins. That doesn't make sense. Make it make sense. So if you want to be surrounded with amazing lovers and friends that are going to support you and building your own family and your own legacy, that you can impart this knowledge and these belief systems, yes, it's going to be hard. I believe in past lives, and that our soul came here for a very specific purpose and even chose what we look like, our family, the city that we were born in. And so some of you may have just decided, based on everything you've learned in past lives, that you're going to be in maybe a family dynamic or a setting or a society that was a bit tougher because you were meant to break all these curses. You wanted the challenge. And so you can't be upset now that it might be taking longer. You have to work your ass off because your soul already chose it. I know in the moment that doesn't make yourself feel great when things aren't working or when they're taking a long time, but allow your story to inspire others, knowing that everything that you're going through, when you're called higher, that there is a reason for it. Your soul already chose what career, what purpose it wanted to do right now. You're consistently getting messages and downloads and attracting people to help you along your path. And that's also something that's been coming through a lot. And I mentioned it a little bit before, is this idea of energetic contracts. And that sometimes, especially in marriage, especially if we grew up in religious households, that the idea of divorce is like the ultimate sin. It can never happen. But then staying in an unhealthy, toxic relationship, especially when there are kids involved, they're looking to that marriage as their go-to or what is normal. And so again, giving our power to religious leaders, institutions that may or may not have our best interest at heart. I'm not saying you have to divorce anyone or anything, but the idea that certain relationships are meant to last forever, I think personally is a little idealistic, a little Disney fairy tale. Sometimes you're just meant to meet that person for a night, a week, a month, a year, because you at that time were thinking those beliefs and thus, of course, attracted that. And that's also, it was coming through a lot at the beginning of the year, not so much right now, because I think people are more so focused on the internal work. But if you're attracting love right now, but you're still working through a lot of your shit and a lot of your trauma, ideally attracting a partner that can work with that energy with you. But if you know that you want to give yourself a couple months to really do the work and get to a certain point, or there's just so much work to be done that you just need to focus on it personally without inviting another energy to hold accountable and to hold space for as well, it's not being selfish, but this just keeps something through again and again and again, no matter how we look at it with astrology, channel messages, or what I've been seeing in client consults. Do the work on yourself first. You're going to elevate your level so much higher to then attract all relationships that are at that level. Instead of attracting a lover, a friend, whomever right now that matches your frequency, but they might not be as invested in doing this work. So then you go up here, they're up here, and then you feel bad because you're like, oh, well, I made this new friend. They seem so great. I want to make sure we can connect. But they might not be willing to do the work at this time, and that's okay. And this, I mean, I might be a little biased given my prominent Scorpio energy, but sometimes when you're going through these spiritual breakthroughs or new levels or letting go of certain trauma, you have to walk that path alone for a minute. And it's not saying you're going to be lonely. There's going to be certain mentors and coaches and teachers that you're going to seek out to allow this journey to be more pleasurable. But sometimes, like when you get to travel alone or just take a walk on your own, it's so much more peaceful and you have full control and autonomy of what you want to do. And some of you watching may have never have had that experience of just totally deciding what you want to do without taking into consideration what others want. And so I'm suggesting, just with everything that's going on, with the energies that are coming through, and with timelines very much collapsing or the veils being very thin, with us, of course, still being in this full moon energy, eclipse season, retrograde season. And I mean, it's also very telling that, at least in Canada, I'm sure other parts of the world as well, things are opening up. They're wanting to bring everything back to normal. What have you learned over the past 15 months, 18 months? Are you still at the same place that you were the beginning of 2020? Are you still maybe finding yourself in similar cycles around your personal health routine or certain jobs or lovers or family drama that you keep getting caught up in? And again, it might not be a complete overhaul, but there might be one single part of your life that you're like, oh, I see you, universe. I know that I have to work on this one part. And again, kind of going back to what I said at the beginning, really looking at your chart. Again, I'm biased, but it's the facts here. Look to see where Gemini and Sagittarius are in your chart, especially if you already are watching this and you have dominant mutable energy. With Jupiter now in Pisces until July 28th, the eclipses happening in Gemini and Sagittarius, those of you that have dominant mutable energy, so Pisces, Virgo, Sag, or Gemini, you will probably feel overly stimulated. And again, that's another beautiful example of how you should never be comparing yourself to others, no matter what their age or their background, because their own individual natal chart is going to look way different than yours. In different annual perfections or different returns or different planets are all going to be affecting you differently. But collectively, we're seeing the mutable signs reshifting, which is great. They're known for adapting. And I think if they can learn how to manage its energy properly, it's going to benefit everyone. And I mean, 2020, the cardinal signs, it was not a cute look. Saturn retrograde, Mars retrograde, squaring each other for a lot of that year. And then this year, the fixed signs are going through it. So Aquarius, Taurus, Scorpio, and Leo. And not sure if any of you watching this are feeling this, other practitioners, light workers, energy workers, but I keep feeling August. Like it's been coming through a lot when I've been channeling for clients one-on-one. That kind of 1st to 9th, 1st to 10th, like that second decan of Leo season of like huge revelations, huge breakthroughs, or huge opportunities where you can check in and see what's going on. And I think that everyone watching, if you kind of want to peg the beginning of August and see where you're at, that's what I would recommend, because I keep feeling it. And I even talk to other friends and family that aren't super spiritual, like, yeah, I feel good vibes, or I just feel like something's going to click in August. So keep that in mind. And just the simple fact that we have 2 full moons in Aquarius during Leo season, which is telling. And then of course we're dealing with that Saturn-Uranus square in Aquarius and Taurus as a major focal point for 2021. So huge shifts around what we view as normal structure, organization, cryptocurrency, food, shelter, everything moving and changing. So if you are a fixed sign, this is even more of a note to see where you were, especially during Taurus season, a fixed sign. Everyone felt where we were during Aquarius season, where during the Aquarius new moon, I believe we had 6 planets in Aquarius, and that was wild. And now with Mercury about to go retrograde in Gemini, another air sign like it was retrograde in Aquarius, those themes of your mental health, your spiritual health are going to be amplified even more. And so again, one more time, taking that time to slow down is going to be very beneficial so you can be working through these energies. And when you're seeing certain synchronicities or knowing that certain patterns are being broken, that you're not taking on the energy of everyone else. And that, of course, is even just limiting your time on social media, certain news sites, certain friends that are not beneficial for your well-being. And I'll just say that on that part. So those retrogrades are here to help us slow down so we can see the different signs and synchronicities that this eclipse season is going to bring. I'm actually super pumped for the new moon solar eclipse in Gemini in a couple weeks. And also, if anyone out there is feeling this, I said this at the beginning of May. I'm like, we're going to blink, it's going to be June. We're going to blink again, it's going to be September. And I mean, we're only a few days away from June. And I might just be biased, but I feel like we know time doesn't exist. All these things are shifting so quickly. So I want you all to be grounded, to be very conscious of what you're feeding into, what you're receiving energetically, physically, mentally, so that this next 4 years can be life-changing and certain revelations can just land on your lap and you trust them. And even if it does have a big price tag of money, time, or energy, or it means letting go of certain things for now, that it doesn't scare you, but it excites you. And if certain things are taking a long time, that you know it's just going to be getting better and better and better. And also too, this just kind of came to me because this is how I was feeling last night. I almost felt sick. Like I was just like literally about to throw up all this like baggage and karma and shit that just didn't serve me. And even today, it felt like my head just almost like wanted to be releasing and purging. And like I said, I've been kind of sleeping on and off all day. So if you are feeling tired or drained, you're not alone by any means. And even now, being a really great time to check in with your physical health, your physical body. Again, the moon representing those parts of ourself to make sure that you're getting the love and nourishment that you need and not needing to justify it or explain it to anyone. Because you know what's best for you in this moment, and trusting that. Because a lot of times when we are expanding, when we're really close to that next level, the universe likes to push back on us to see if we truly want it, to make sure that there's a little temptation or something doesn't go right at the beginning, that we don't lose all faith, that we know the work that we've had done, no one can fuck with. No one can try and come for us. No one can cancel you. You're blessed. You're aligned. You've done the work, mind, body, and soul. You're there for the long haul. And I truly believe that you're going to see certain patterns or have certain memories, especially now with Saturn retrograde representing time, where things have never worked for you, where you've taken on other people's energies, where you've lived certain narratives or beliefs from your family or from multiple generations that you're not putting up with anymore. And it may be heavy. It may feel like you're starting at square one, but know that this is such a beautiful time for this expansion to occur, to receive this clarity, to move forward in a very beautiful, beneficial light. Remember, it all truly comes back to our mindset and our belief systems. It gets to be easy. You get to attract beautiful opportunities and people, and anything that may seem frictional or aligned or why is this happening to me, it's just simply meant to make sure you're on the right path and that you can also receive the lessons. Sometimes it's not actually meant for you to benefit. You're meant to understand a certain lesson, or you're meant to bless someone else, or you're meant to reach out your hand and help others. It's not always about you and that ego growing and growing and growing. Sometimes you're just meant to be in a situation where it didn't work out for you because it was meant to work out for someone else. And then you might see that. You hear about all the time, just in like the acting field, how certain actors were supposed to get a big part, then due to scheduling conflicts or something happened with their family, they had to step down and another actor got to come in, and no one else. You'd see that actor, that actress, and you're like, of course, it was them all along. And of course, for the first actor, actress, or the first choice, they may have been devastated or really wanted that gig or wanted the coins. Either way, it wasn't meant for them because it was meant for someone else. Even Anne Hathaway, fellow Scorpio, I believe she said that she was the 9th choice for her role in The Devil Wears Prada. 9th choice. And even just kind of knowing that, Sharon Stone said that too for Basic Instinct, where she came in on set and like the main actress just left, and then she showed up and like no one even wanted her there. Also a great movie. So don't get in your head if things are taking a long time, or if you're just frustrated, or you feel like everything's working against you. It's all working in your favor. You can just shift the belief and shift the paradigm so that you can see it as such, and so that everything you attract gets to be in alignment for that moving forward. Okay? So those were the main things I believe that I really want to say. Just be very conscious. Please slow down. Take time for yourself. Notice these timelines collapsing. And also too, like, I didn't know what day it was all day today. I was like, is it Wednesday? Is it Thursday? I kind of thought it was Tuesday when I was prepping for this. Even right now, it kind of feels like midnight or 11. Like, time is very interesting right now, but that's kind of this beautiful magic where these quantum leaps can occur, or where you can just go from one timeline to the next and leave everything behind. And of course, it's not going to happen for everyone. I understand that. But if you're seeing certain numbers, energy, symbols again and again and again, you're probably in this huge activation space. Or if you have prominent Gemini or Sagittarius energy, or if you've just been doing the work for a fucking long time, it's all coming to the surface for you to expand, for you to jump easily, and to have it be aligned in this beautiful fashion, okay? If you want more information on any of these things, I break it down more in depth. I have a full moon workshop with this eclipse, a Mercury retrograde workshop, and a Jupiter and Pisces workshop, and they're all bundled together if you want to save some money. So if you want more resources and are just curious about this, you can check that all out on my website, or Google is phenomenal for all questions, and just seeking out titans and people that are the best in your industry. It might just be my Capricorn rising speaking, but looking to people who have succeeded in the spirituality realm, in the career that you want to pursue, just people who have achieved so much. Sometimes you can see that all that glitters is not gold, or some of the most beautiful, famous people, you're like, oh, it must be so easy for them, have went through such trauma that you would never trade your life to have that wealth, to have undergone that kind of tragedy. If you haven't seen it, Paris Hilton's documentary, that's a game changer. I think she is a fucking genius. I also believe she has Mercury, Cazimi, the sun in Aquarius in her natal chart, moon in Leo. So that's just like a really interesting tale of how you think that, oh, it must be nice, but she was actually so smart the entire time from day one, how she was orchestrating it all. And now she's using her platform in a very beneficial way, I believe. So that's just one example that I got to enjoy, just really seeing someone in that way. But then also too, podcasts, books, or just reading about the best of the best, or people that are making huge contributions to the world, and see the struggles they had, see the setbacks or the loss that they endured. And it really puts things in perspective, because of course, if you resonate with certain celebrities or people of power, even politicians, whoever it is, you're going to be attracting similar stories to help you, as I said earlier, how your story is meant to help your family, your community, your following, whoever you want it to. You're just allowing your life to lead by example, to help those around you, so that they see that you did it. So of course they can do it as well, and that we can all be shifting and supporting each other in a way that we're all just growing and growing and growing, instead of continually being in these trauma and generational curse cycles and never breaking them, because we always believe the world is one way, or that people are all egotistical, evil, money is dirty, whatever those old limiting beliefs you have. It's now time to break them, collapse those timelines, and see what the signs and synchronicities are for you moving forward, okay? So those are the main things I want to discuss. Please take care of yourself, rest, slow down. If anyone has any general questions, I'll try and answer a few of them. I'm not going to do any like tarot pulls. I'm still kind of like a sleepy kitty. This was just a very impromptu, but any general questions of things that are going on or things that I can help answer, please let me know, or else I'll let you all enjoy the night, rest your eyes, go for a walk in the moonlight. I think that's what I'm going to do. The moon has been so beautiful lately and just excellent energy coming through. So please let me know if there's anything that I can answer. Any questions? Thank you all for watching, for showing up to this live. I appreciate all the support, all the likes, all the shares, everyone who shares my content, my tarot scopes, workshops, everything. I'm so fucking grateful for all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate everything, all the kind, respectful DMs, especially. Thank you. Great. Thank you all. You're very sweet. Please let me know any questions. I'll stay on for another 2 minutes. That was my intention before. I was like, this live will be 33 minutes. Love you, Brie. Mwah. Yes, I will save it. My phone has been acting funny, always saying that it's full in storage. So again, one last reminder, if you're watching this, back up your electronics, back up any important documents, save it on a hard drive, save it on USB, Google Drive, email it to yourself. Mercury's linked with Hermes, right? And so Hermes, from my understanding, I'm not an expert in Greek mythology, but he kind of was this prankster of the gods, and he would steal shit and go to the underworld and just like create ruckus. So if you get frustrated during Mercury retrograde, it's kind of like Peeves in Harry Potter, just like this prankster energy that if you get super frustrated, just don't give it any additional energy, because then once Mercury gets bored, he'll just go to the next individual to like unplug their computer or crash a social media site. So that's my perception sometimes of Mercury retrograde. It's just like a little kid being playful. And I like you think of Geminis as also kind of having that playful energy, and Virgos being extremely witty and funny. Of course, they're both ruled by Mercury, so that's just another way you can look at this Mercury retrograde. So this is a good question too. Any advice for those who are starting new jobs with all of this kind of crazy or intense energy? So again, please, everyone watching, whether you're starting a new job or not, get grounded every day. Get grounded throughout the day. And sometimes the best reset, Abraham Hicks talks about this a lot, go for a nap. If you're in your head and you're frustrated and you're exhausted, take a nap. And some people are saying they're not great at napping. I talked to clients about this. Practice. You weren't great at walking when you were first born. You did it again and again and again. It's just closing your eyes, and even if you don't fall asleep, you're practicing napping so that you can get better at it, so that if you need a little 20-minute nap, 40-minute, 4-hour, whatever that nap ends up being, it helps us to reset the energy, and you always wake up in a much better light. And so, of course, grounding can be journaling, meditation, yoga, all of those things, but you can also just go for a walk in the sun, with most, at least the northern hemisphere, kind of experiencing summer right around the corner. Taking a bath, taking a shower, unplugging from all electronics, and just doing some breath work. That would be what I would strongly recommend. And then also in the same vein of taking time for yourself. If any of you can, watching this, take a vacation, take some time off, take a day off that you normally wouldn't. Just take a personal day, whatever you need, and just see how that shifts things for you. Especially when we rest, we're in that divine feminine to receive money, opportunity, love, sex, intuitive downloads, whatever that is. We want to keep honoring the feminine and not just working nonstop. I love working, I love making money truly, but when you get to rest and just see all that come in so much easier, game changer, okay? And yes, eclipse energy, definitely spontaneous, cannot be tamed, uncontrollable. I was getting a couple DMs about, should I not be manifesting? Should I not be clearing my crystals? I personally believe we're manifesting every single day what we think, how we talk, what we interact with, the content we consume. If you feel super inclined to manifest and draw something in, who is anyone else to say that you shouldn't? I don't really feel there's enough longitudinal data of people who manifested on eclipses and people who didn't to see if their manifestations came true. And some of you are going through your solar return. For some of you, it's your birthday. So of course you're going to be setting new goals. Generally speaking, from certain texts and astrologers, we shouldn't be doing intense work around eclipses, or especially around that new moon, because it is very intense and volatile, and anything could happen. A lot of times we're not in the grounded state to really plant these huge seeds. That is what they say on paper. If you want to do something and you feel totally aligned, it's like when people say, should I not start a relationship in Mercury retrograde? You might have Jupiter conjunct Venus or your progressed moon in like your 7th house. Like, everyone has opinions, and of course 99 or 90% of the time those rules might be applicable, but don't get anxious or be in your head and start spinning out. If you read one post or watch one TikTok that says you shouldn't do something, again, going back to, we're being influenced so much every single day. Most people are trying to tell you what to do, project their ego or fear, or trying to sell you something. So if you have that in the back of your mind, and you can hone your intuition so it becomes like a ninja Death Star and you can hit a bullseye every single time. That's where I want you all. That's like my main intention for doing this work, is to teach everyone how to fish, or that they can just trust their own intuition so they don't need as much guidance or giving away their power to all these other people, especially knowing the astrology that's coming through. So I know that was a little bit of a tangent, but that's had to be said. Okay, any last questions? Injuries sometimes, again, someone was saying how they dislocated a shoulder, and this is a very controversial view. Some people are like, you don't manifest injuries or diseases. That's not true. Other people say we attract certain illness or injury based on what we're thinking or how we're speaking of other people. A really good resource so that you can make your own conclusions. I recommend this book, and I will do so every single day I'm on this timeline. You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. She's like the OG. She was before Eckhart, Deepak Chopra, Oprah. Like, if you want a phenomenal resource, you can go back to it anytime, that talks about certain energies and belief systems and how they manifest in our life. You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. Game changer, okay? So I'll let you all make your own conclusions. I do believe how we think and how we hold feelings can create diseases and cancers and cause remissions. That's my personal belief on what I've seen and what I've read. Please make your own conclusions accordingly. And again, in terms of contracts, I know that always gets linked with Mercury retrograde and like a no-no. Read it. Have another set of eyes read it. Don't make impulsive decisions, making sure that everything is good. But again, if everything seems aligned, you did your homework. A quarter of you watching were born during a Mercury retrograde or during a pre and post shadow. And I believe you turned out fine. Even my example with Paris Hilton, she had Mercury retrograde in her chart. I know in terms of electional astrology, we try and avoid retrogrades because for that specific instant, it doesn't have like 20, 30, 50, 80 years to mature and to learn the lessons. But trust yourself. Of course, you're going to be starting jobs or gigs probably at some point in your life when Jupiter's retrograde or Saturn's retrograde or Mercury's retrograde or Mars or Venus. You're not going to pause your entire life, and nor should you, for retrogrades, okay? And this is the last question I think I'll answer because it's really good. Is there anything about physical downloading right now, getting so many sounds, ear pain, ear ringing? So a lot of people do resonate that with kind of like archangels, sometimes hearing ancestors, or just like picking up different messages from the other side that they're trying to get your attention. Sometimes it's an ear infection. That just needs to be said. So many people like, my ears are ringing, and they could be, and you could be receiving certain energies or downloads. Sometimes you should go to your doctor because science and medicine are still valid. And I had an ear infection earlier this year, and that's why I'm saying that. So trust, again, certain synchronicities. If you're kind of continually doing spiritual work, energy work, and you're seeing certain downloads and your ears are ringing, like I get it sometimes after client sessions or before sessions or even just for my own self, and it's like it is very significant, but it doesn't last a long time. For me personally, it'll come through, I'm like, oh, or I'll have a thought and then I'll hear the ringing in the ears, which a lot of people again link to kind of like archangel or spiritual messages from the other side or ancestors. Take that for what it is, but if it persists, I know that AirPods and certain wireless headphones, when worn too long, are not good for you. So that could also be the other side of that, okay? Beautiful. Thank you all again for watching. Thank you for doing this work. Thank you for your support, your love, your business, everything. It truly means a lot. And enjoy this eclipse season. Enjoy the retrogrades, reshifting our mindsets that they get to be opportunities to pause and to rest and to grow. And I can't Mercury the words. Shall see you shortly, okay? Bye.